Alright, so if you are watching this, you are looking to build a front-wheel drive, stock class, bump and run, figure 8 autocross car. This car has not been inspected yet this year. I haven't ran it yet this year, but I do believe it still passes the rules, and this is kind of just about the bare minimum that you will need in order to build one to run yourself. I'm going to show you a few tricks along the way with this car. This is going to be part 1. Part 2 of this is going to be in a different video of a modified class. I kind of have both here. So we'll start, I guess, front to back, and we'll go on the inside as well. Basically, when they say stock, they mean stock. Gut the cars, gut them. Windshield, plastic, mirrors, including the rear view mirror. I learned that one last race. Gut everything out completely. Basically, you need just the driver's seat, and like I say, what you see here is what you're going to need. If you have a plastic front bumper, like the actual plastic or composite style, I would remove it. If you have the regular stock bumper that's just bolted on, you can leave it. If you just want to be lazy and not do anything further and just go out and run and have a good time, perfect. I believe you can weld them on. That's what this one is done. This car has been ran a few different times, and it was ran before the rule changes. It used to have a chrome bumper on it. So chrome bumpers are not allowed. 80s and newer, they say front wheel drive, 80s and newer bumpers. A lot of people like to get a Crown Vic front bumper. They're not chrome, they're actual a metal steel. They're a little bit thicker. Good luck finding them, but I just use whatever I can get my hands on, basically. I guess a trick, because I'm here, like I said, I'm going to try to show as much as I can. So hold your radiator up. If you can, cut each one of these little tabs off just pretty close without breaking that. And then mine's up with ratchet straps. A little too tight for my liking. I like to float, that way you don't break it. If you have not changed this yet, you're going to want to. If you notice this side, there's a line missing here, and on the bottom, that's where your transmission lines go into. This is usually the reservoir that holds the transmission lines in, or the transmission fluid in. If you notice right there, it's looped. Literally cut that end off of the one side, and on the bottom, and then take a fuel line hose, something that actually can hold that pressure, and do that. It'll loop your transmission lines, and that way you won't have an issue. And if you get hit here, because you're gonna, and it breaks that tank, you're not going to dump all the transmission fluid out, and then now the car's done already. We want to try to keep these cars going. Hood, you got 4 ways of mounting it, and this is 4. 1, 2, some threaded rod through, and then your original hinges count as 2 as well. So, and everything else in here is stock, exactly how it came. I would try to reroute your wiring. This is a cobalt, so it's a little bit different. Usually your battery will sit up here. I would get a good way of taking those battery ends. I usually get a bolt. I don't have a car here that can really show it well, but you get these copper lines that or copper ends you can squish on, and then just put a bolt through it and tape the heck out of them so it doesn't arc out. Kind of run it in through here and into the car. Tires and suspension, I'll go through the whole thing. Stock, completely stock. I believe in some cars they will allow you to change aluminum out for steel. That's what this one has done, and I haven't raced it yet this year, but I believe you're fine with doing so. Usually a lot of people change things out to a Cavalier. That's why they're so sought after. This one was a cobalt, so it's aluminum. It's been swapped over to steel. It's the same thing. You change the ball joint and that's it. Rear tires, I'll go to that real quick. Like I said, if you are brand new and you see that they have these tires all the time, why? Here's the explanation of why. They are a little bit smaller, so you won't hit them, so somebody else won't hit them. But if you look at how skinny they are, and there's less surface area towards the ground. So when you go through the corner and you rip your e-brake, it slides way easier. I would suggest pumping these up pretty high so that these are kind of hard and they don't kind of roll. Like this one needs to be pumped up. You can see the tire flexing and rolling a little bit. We'll go to door bar next, or door protection. That's basically with this whole car. You need to do the safety rolls, and everything else you basically leave it alone. Oh, I'll take that back up. Tires. You can do the flap on these as well. So this is a stock tire. You can do, for this stock class, you're only allowed street stock style tires. You can't do anything like that. This is a recap tire or a mud tire. You can't do that. You can do snow tires. Snow tires are usually a little bit softer if applied, so they're kind of stickier. And then you can do this tire flap. You literally take an old tire. You can do it or get someone else to mount your tires for you. Put a tube in. I suggest a tube. And you put this extra flap for a sidewall so that this gets hit like that. And it hits this and not the actual tire. This one does not have a valve stem protector on it. You can get some washers and weld them on. I would do it before you put the tire and everything on. Or what I usually do is get some type of strapping or a long bolt here, and then when the tire spins, they're going to hit that and not your valve stem, and you won't get a flat tire. Rule state for cage and for door protection, it says 18-inch minimum width. I would go the full length of the door with some type of a plate. It's the simplest way, and bolted a few times. Unless you have the material and a good welder, then you can do something kind of more like this, where you have some bars within the car itself, kind of running from your back bar to there. I've seen people, you can cement the inside of the door. I really have never seen anybody do it all the years I've been doing this, but you can do that. But usually I would like to run a bar here in general, because I've seen a lot of times where this gets caved in. This one I pulled it out a bit, but it was caved in quite a bit. I believe you can still weld the driver's doors. This one isn't. I'm kind of lazy with this one, and I built the car pretty cheap. Cage. I believe this still passes the rules. It is the quickest, probably the cheapest way you can do it, simplest way, and it meets the rules. Again, I haven't gotten this one inspected yet, but I think I'm totally fine. You have seat bar. You want it to be middle of your seat roughly, kind of upper back, or just below, where this part is. You don't want to go much higher, because if you go higher, the seat could then kind of catch if you get hit hard. I keep it here to like the middle, roughly. Usually if you're running a 5-point harness, you kind of notice some crappy welds. Get yourself a welder or somebody that knows how to weld. I did not have my welder set up correctly, and I actually broke the tab off last year. That was not good. I didn't feel very safe, but we were okay. But make sure you take the time to do the safety. So door bar, you can weld them door to door, and you need minimum 2 uprights. You have to have 2, not just 1, 2. So from floor, you can put a plate down there, up, and this top halo bar needs to be above your head in case this rolls over. This one was done a little bit differently. When I bought the car, it was kind of as a pre-ran car, but they had this one cut out and a plate on here, and I actually like that. I should have done that with the other side, but I didn't have enough material. And then, so yeah, like I said, usually you have to, if you're doing a 5-point harness, which I do recommend doing that, you would have your harness needs to be just above your shoulders. So basically right here is where I would mount that tab, which I did before, and then they go over. I would suggest getting the cam lock style. You can get them on Amazon for like 60 some bucks. The older style that I have, I'm going to change to something different. Battery. We'll go to that one next. That basically is the gist of the simplest cage you can possibly do. And another thing to kind of help with the bending, you can leave your stock seat in here if you want, and it kind of helps with the floor too. Stock battery, like I said, you can run it in the location. I wouldn't. I would extend your battery cables in. This is a Cobalt, so the battery cables are actually already in the car, which is kind of nice. I don't like how this is done. It's ratchet strap from here to like a spot down here, and it holds the battery in. Don't do that. You can, but I don't recommend doing it. If you got any welding experience, you have somebody that can weld, you got a little bit of angle iron, build one of these. It's quite simple. Just an angle, build yourself a couple of tabs to bolt it through the floor. That tightens it down. I usually put a floor mat and literally just drape it over top of here, and then the plate goes over top of that and covers it. If you're using an auxiliary tank, you can remove your factory tank out if you want to, or if it's rusty or the brake lines go, you can change that out. You're only allowed about 12 inches or so of rubber line. The rest of it has to be steel braided or just regular steel line, kind of like brake line, but it's a bit thicker. You're going to have to cover your gas tank if you have a fuel cell. This one doesn't. This one has, the stock tank is underneath it. It is before the rear axle. So because of that, you have to run 2 straps. I usually like using just ratchet straps. It's real easy. Simple ones from Harbor Freight. This has like your plumbing straps on it. That works just as well. It's just basically in case your original straps rot off, you have some backups. That's the main reason for it. Emergency brake and shifter. It may be different for your car. Some of them have the e-brake down here. I've seen them to where people can pull them around and modify them and like weld a handle to it. I believe that's still allowed in stock class. I'm not completely sure. It's not seen very often with the type of cars people usually race around here. Simple thing with e-brakes, a lot of them you don't have to deal with it, but sometimes they have the stupid button. You can disable them, or if you're lazy, you just put a screw there, tape this up pretty good, and now it doesn't lock. Same thing with the shifter. I can show you on the Cavalier that I got over here, but you can mess with the linkage in here. Whatever you need to do, we're good to go. Same thing. Cavaliers are a little bit easier. Same concept. Right there's actually part. You are not allowed to have a hydraulic handbrake in stock class as of right now. I don't see the rules changing next year for that, but they might. I do know the rules for the 2025 season are starting to change, at least from the word on the street. They're wanting your cage to be inside the car, kind of like this. It doesn't have to be this style, but they want it. They don't want your cage up and over like this one is. They're going to want to keep everything inside so that the cars look stock. I believe that's the route they're going. I'm not completely sure if that's the reasoning behind it, but I've heard that that's what the changes are going to be. As far as strapping with doors and trunk lid and all that, I believe it's still allowed. I haven't heard anything different. I just use the seatbelts. I mean, the seatbelts that come in the car, pull the strap already out. You see this one already is. I pull all of it out, cut the seatbelt. This thing will spin on you. And then you just take them and just wrap them around here, tie them in a knot, and then use some self-tappers if you need to. Same thing here. This used to have a spoiler on it, but you drill a couple holes, wrap it around, usually through your tail light holes. Wrap it around through there, and you can use seat belts. You can use 9-wire like this one is, or you can use chain if you want. I would suggest either 9-wire or, like I said, I use the seat belts from the car. This one was already built this way, so that's how it is. Personal preference for me, I do not use the back bumper. I don't need the back bumper. It's just going to fall off anyways after a while. This one is about to fall off, so I'm going to take it off here before the next race. I believe that's just about it. Said everything else is stock. Really can't do too much else with these cars, and that's why they have the class, so anybody can kind of be in it. Oh, I always forget, window bar. You can use just about anything. chain, you can use some 9-wire if you needed to, some strapping, some, whatever. The reasoning is that if these hinges were to break and this didn't actually go, your hood will slide up and into you, and this will help it go upwards. Oh, I saw one more thing I forgot. Window nets. If you are running the autocross and bump and runs, some tracks, I believe, you're required to have a window net. I would suggest getting this style of one. I just ran some threaded rod. You can, whatever you kind of need to. And welded the bolt there so it can go through. Just weld it to here. And then take your stock seat belts, weld it to that. And then the other part of your seat belt, I kind of have just some flat stock here. Kind of welded it around and through the door. And literally, that simple. Goes right on in. I believe other than that, like I said, everything is stock. If you can have a roof sign, cool. There's a lot of people that make them. Just kind of see what everybody else is doing. And yeah, or you can run your numbers on the side, that's fine too. But other than that, everything is stock. There's not much else you can do with these cars. They bend, they break, try to fix them the best you can. Talk to Johnny, or John Pulsoba. He is the owner of USA and UMS, Unique Motorsports. And that's the type of cars around here you'll be running, unless you're running for TNT. They're a little bit further away from me, so I don't know their rules. I don't really run for them. So this is mainly just for USA and UMS rules. So if there's anything I missed, I guess let me know and I can re-update this video or change some things. But other than that, it's basically the gist of it, other than anything else I didn't mention in the actual rules. I know, like, you take the antifreeze out and put water in it, that type of thing, but you should have obviously read the rules. This just makes it a little bit easier in an actual visual to see what you can and can't do for a stock class. So this is part 1. If you want to see part 2, just look on to the next videos, and you should see the part 2 about your modified class.